Hi, this is Shannon, and I will be reading you from the Sandwich Enterprise dated November 21st, 2025. The weekend weather: Saturday, high of 52, low of 30, mostly sunny. Sunday is a high of 48, a low of 34, and that's also mostly sunny. For this week, Bikeway and Pedestrian Committee, Monday at 6:30 p.m., Sand Hill School Community Center. Historic District Committee, Monday, 6:30 p.m., Town Hall, second floor meeting room. Our first headline is Voters Pass Short-Term Rental Bylaw. Accessory Dwelling Unit Bylaw Fails by Taylor Fuzzetti. With over 2 hours of discussion, 197 voters approved nearly all of the 11 special town meeting warrant articles on Monday. With 17,775 eligible voters in town, Town Clerk Taylor D. White said that the voter turnout equates to 1.1%. Before the meeting began, Girl Scout Troop 82147 gave a presentation on the dangers of illegally passing school buses, a project that earned 3 troop members the Silver Award. Short-term rentals. After much debate, voters approved of amending the town bylaws to include language on short-term rentals. Director of Community and Development Leanne Drake explained that the bylaw amendment aims to create a regulatory framework for the operation of short-term rentals within our town and address necessary safety concerns. We do not list this use as allowable currently in any of our regulations, either in the town bylaws or the zoning bylaws. A positive vote from you all tonight would be a first step in making sure that property owners' rights to rent their property for under 30 days are maintained, Drake said. The short-term rental bylaw was previously proposed during the annual town meeting in May, but was indefinitely postponed due to multiple amendments being made to the article that aimed to rework the language of the bylaw. Short-term rental owner Josh Fitzmaurice said that he had inquired about a checklist for the annual inspection, but there was not much information regarding what the annual inspection required at the time. So that portion is derived from the state building code. In January, it came from the state that all short-term rentals in the Commonwealth had to be registered and inspected within their towns, Drake said, adding that the language that came from the state was ambiguous regarding what code inspectors were to follow while inspecting. Drake said that the town has recently received more guidance from the state regarding inspections. Liam Mahoney of Pleasant Street said that he began renting out his historic home as a short-term rental this summer to help pay for fixing up an old but beautiful historic house in the center of Sandwich. Mahoney said that his short-term rental recently passed inspection. However, he said that the major renovations to hardwire the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors would hurt the historic interior of the home. Select Board member Shane T. Hochter asked Building Commissioner Ian Reed if individuals with historic homes listed as short-term rentals are being asked to rewire their homes to meet the building code. Currently, through the building code, they are not required to, but this would create that, and I think it's a vital life safety issue, Reed said. Fitzmaurice said that new technologies such as interconnected 10-year battery smoke detectors that utilize Wi-Fi seems like a much better option than trying to make people rewire their historic home. Fitzmaurice proposed removing the wording, all smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors shall be in compliance with Massachusetts State Building Code. Mahoney said that removing this language would still leave room for ambiguity, due to it not explicitly stating exceptions for historic homes. I would love my fire alarms to meet code, but I can't rip apart the entire interior of my house, he said. Arlene Wilson suggested an amendment that would add a provision for a variance, likely granted by the Select Board based on the age of the building and financial need for older homes, as long as alternative life safety requirements are provided. We know that a Dennis police officer lost his wife and child during staying at a short-term rental with smoke detectors that were not working properly, said Select Board member David J. Sampson. I appreciate folks being concerned about the challenges of wiring smoke alarms into historic properties for a variety of reasons, but I'd actually argue that those properties are likely the properties that require smoke detectors more than other properties. Fitzmaurice's amendment failed, and the town moderator, Sean P. Roche, said that Wilson's amendment could not be within the scope of the bylaw. A motion to indefinitely postpone the vote failed once again with a vote of 30 to 139. Resident Gary Sullivan proposed an amendment that would make dwellings in the Residential 1 and Residential 2 zones ineligible to become short-term rentals. Town Council John Giorgio said that the proposed amendment would be too substantive and would require notice in the warrant. He said that the amendment could be presented in a future town meeting. The article passed with a vote of 128 to 28. Expanded accessory dwelling units. Last spring, town meeting approved a zoning amendment that aligned with the Affordable Homes Act, making accessory dwelling units a protected class and allowed by right. However, multiple community members have expressed that the size limitations for ADUs allowed by right are too restrictive. The expanded accessory dwelling unit bylaw aimed to remedy this. The proposed bylaw would allow one accessory dwelling unit and one expanded accessory dwelling unit per lot with a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet. The expanded accessory dwelling unit cannot be larger than 80% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling or 1,500 square feet, whichever is smaller. Resident Aileen Stars said that although she is understanding of housing struggles with the current cost of living, she shared some concerns regarding the proposal. She noted that there are 3 housing developments in the works in town: Village Green, the Henry T. Wing School residence, and the recently proposed Farm View Drive development. The total number of units proposed for these projects is 332. Average 2 vehicles per unit, and you get a picture of what traffic will like when they are completed, she said. The article failed with a vote of 100 to 76 due to it requiring a majority in order to pass. Affordable housing development. Planning Board Chairwoman Nicole Ouellette explained that the proposed Affordable Housing Development Bylaw amendment aimed to repurpose vacant buildings and provide obtainable housing. She said that over 50% of the Cape's workforce commutes over the bridge. Drake said that the purpose of the Affordable Housing Development Bylaw is to incentivize the adaptive reuse of existing structures for housing and allow for the creation of small pocket neighborhoods with 25% of the units sold and maintained at affordable prices. This provides a pathway to affordable housing through local controls. As was previously mentioned, we had a lot of 40B applications come to our community, and the reason we have that is because we do not have strong affordable housing bylaws, Drake said. Proposing something like this takes control back into our hands, where we could help craft the development so it is suitable for our community. Drake explained that even with the 3 projects in the works, Sandwich will still fall short regarding the subsidized housing inventory. She said that including the Wing School housing development, Sandwich's subsidized housing inventory would be at about 6.5%. Massachusetts requires a subsidized housing inventory of 10% in order to reach safe harbor, meaning that the town would not necessarily have to entertain comprehensive permits. Resident Connor Sullivan said that he works at Heritage Museums and Gardens and that it is challenging for young professionals to find affordable housing in town. He spoke in support of the change. The more that housing prices go up and the less affordable it is to live in a place, the less variety of people that we have in a place, and we need all sorts of people to create a stable and joyful and beautiful community, Sullivan said. The Affordable Housing Development Bylaw passed with a vote of 134 to 36. Other articles. Voters approved the remainder of the articles on the warrant. With a vote of 128 to 32, voters approved the single financial article on the warrant, which aims to allot an additional $324,300 in Chapter 70 funds to the school department budget. Voters approved amending the town's sign code bylaw to better address the needs of the business community, while also improving the appearance of commercial corridors. Additionally, voters approved amending the town bylaw to address the town's involvement in enforcement related to the Scenic Roads Act on private roads. The amendment intends to clean up the language and remedy a current conflict within the law. Attendees approved several housekeeping items, including creating an administrative site plan review process through the zoning bylaw for clear-cutting trees and understory on land 10,000 square feet or greater in the absence of a building permit, and including a reference to the general permit for stormwater discharge from small municipal sewer systems in the protective zoning bylaws. In recent months, Town Neck community members have been advocating for a lower speed limit in the neighborhood. 2 articles on the warrant presented avenues to address the speed limit in Town Neck and other areas in town. Voters approved authorizing safety zones and thickly settled designations. Additionally, voters approved authorizing the Select Board to accept easements pertaining to the Quaker Meeting House Road and Cotuit Road intersection improvement project. Our next headline is Coalition Pushes for $100 million Annually Towards Conservation by Owen Drury Sullivan. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod, along with more than 60 other nonprofits, environmental groups, and organizations, has cast its lot with the Nature for Massachusetts Coalition in support of a new statewide initiative that would bring more than $100 million annually towards protecting and conserving Massachusetts' natural spaces without raising taxes. This push is accompanied by a legislative campaign, but if lawmakers don't act, we're ready to bring this issue directly to voters through a 2026 ballot question. The initiative's webpage states, the APCC gathered the 3rd largest share of signatures in support of the ballot initiative of all coalition members, according to APCC Executive Director Andrew Gottlieb. With the Protect Water and Nature ballot initiative, the Nature for Massachusetts Coalition and its supporters, one of which is the APCC, want the state to divert money from the existing tax on sporting goods and create a dedicated fund to support efforts to maintain, restore, and create natural spaces throughout the Commonwealth. Currently, the additional tax placed on sporting goods, things like tents, soccer balls, recreational vehicles, and golf carts, is amalgamated in the state's general fund, which is used to cover a variety of expenses, salaries, debts, and operating costs. The roughly $100 million collected from the sporting goods tax would be diverted from this general funding pool and reallocated into a new Nature for All fund and used to conserve, protect, and expand Massachusetts' outdoor spaces. As the initiative's online FAQ states, this shift in tax expenses would not take money away from any specific spending area. On Tuesday, Nature for Massachusetts announced that it had collected significantly more than the 74,574 signatures required to advance the initiative to the 2026 statewide ballot, meaning that even without the state legislature taking action, the question can now be put to Massachusetts voters. Volunteers from dozens of organizations within the coalition contributed to the campaign's milestone by collecting signatures from their neighbors at farmers markets, festivals, trailheads, and wildlife sanctuaries, Nature for Massachusetts said in a recent press release announcing the milestone. Among these activists were members of the APCC, who encouraged volunteers to collect signatures in support of the ballot initiative and pending legislation. Currently, the state Senate bill in support of this funding shift an act providing nature for all has been referred to the Senate Ways and Means after being reported favorably by 2 state committees. The APCC was founded in 1968, forged in opposition to a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers plan to terraform Nauset Marsh into a deep water port. It advocates to preserve, protect, and enhance the natural resources of Cape Cod, the organization's website said, and its stated vision is to create a carbon-neutral Cape Cod, where growth respects the character of town centers and rural lands. Speaking with the Enterprise, Gottlieb expressed gratitude for the organization's supporters and lauded the coalition's efforts to push the initiative onto the ballot. Volunteers began collecting signatures in support of the ballot question in mid-September, with the majority of signatures collected submitted to organizers in early November. We enlisted the assistance of our 300-plus volunteers to ensure the coalition achieves its goals, Gottlieb said. We were especially pleased that all of the organizations that chipped in, we were able to garner the third largest number of signatures of all coalition members. This really reflects the degree of interest that Cape Codders have for work facilitating conservation and the preservation of nature, he continued. It is important for people to understand this ballot initiative doesn't increase taxes. It simply reappropriates existing taxes from the general fund and puts them towards conservation and maintenance of our natural spaces. Gottlieb stated that while he was hopeful for the legislation that would write the initiative into the law without the need for a ballot question, we also think the time is right for this initiative now. The ballot question provides a backstop against the legislation not taking the bill up. Our next headline is Council on Aging, Sandwich Public Schools collaborate for upcoming yard cleanup, by Sarah O'Hearn. The Sandwich Council on Aging and Sandwich Public Schools will collaborate to host the first district-wide yard cleanup for older adults on Saturday and Sunday, November 22nd and 23rd. Forestdale School physical education teacher and co-organizer Kristen McDonald said that she first arranged the cleanup with the Council on Aging about 5 years ago, when she was a 7Cs teacher at Oak Ridge School. McDonald said that she contacted Susan Mirnasic, the Sandwich Council on Aging Senior and Community Services Director, and about how Oak Ridge students and families could do something helping for the community. McDonald said that the yard cleanup was only grown since then, as it now involves the 3 public schools in town and had its largest turnout last year, with more than 100 volunteers. We have some of the same customers each year, McDonald said. It is amazing the connections we make. Some of the same people come out and rake every year, too. Once they do it once, they usually come back and do it again. McDonald said that she and Mirnasic began planting this year's yard cleanup in October. McDonald shared a flyer and volunteer sign-up link, which will be open through the weekend, to Sandwich Public Schools families. McDonald also reached out to Superintendent Joseph P. Marusak to promote the cleanup, as it now involves the entire district. McDonald will form cleanup teams from the sign-up responses, considering factors like who owns leaf blowers, who is willing to rake more than 1 yard, and the number of student and adult participants. Teams will then be assigned addresses across Sandwich and select a time to arrive at the yard. Oftentimes, the homeowners will come out and will make cookies or try to give the kids money, McDonald said. It is so sweet. They are just like, I have these quarters here. The homeowners are just so grateful. One homeowner invited a group into his home to show them his miniature train extravaganza during a previous cleanup, and McDonald said that the students were beside themselves. She said it was incredible to see the homeowner want to share something he loved with the participants because he was so grateful for their work. McDonald said it is amazing to see where the formed connections lead, as students have fixed items inside homes or delivered Thanksgiving meals to the older adults who have participated in the cleanup. McDonald said that she walks the fine line between generating good feelings of helping and not overwhelming or frustrating participants with their outdoor efforts. Teams will check in with McDonald as they work, including sending photos or communicating if it is too much or if participants need backup. The older adults who received the yard cleanup will check in with Mirnasic. McDonald said that it is as that as of Wednesday afternoon, she anticipates at least 15 teams for this year's yard cleanup. Maranasik had a list of 19 yards that will be cleaned. It is always eye-opening how many people actually do not have anyone else to rely on in our community, McDonald said. The yard cleanup is a huge help for community members. McDonald said an event like the yard cleanup does not happen in other communities, and it is gratifying to see how the community rallies for the activity. The event connects people across ages, McDonald said. Participants get to see the gratitude that older adults have for people in the community coming to help them. I hope that older adults see that people care, that they are not forgotten, that they are part of our community, and that we value them. The youngest of our community wants to help them. Our next article is Library Board of Trustees Reviews Draft Strategic Plan, Upcoming Activities by Sarah O'Hearn. The Sandwich Public Library Board of Trustees reviewed a draft of its 3-year strategic plan at its regular meeting on Tuesday. Trustees also shared updates within the Friends of the Sandwich Public Library leadership and upcoming events and fundraisers. Library Director Diane M. Castigliola has developed the draft strategic plan, which includes the institution's mission statement, goals and guiding values for 1 year. Castigliola said that she tried to articulate patrons' feedback to give the draft shape. She said it demonstrates what the library has and will continue to work toward. Board trustee Mark A. Wickland asked Castigliola whether she would consider incorporating the institution's action plan into the draft. The strategic plan will live for 3 years here, Castigliola said. The action plan feels more of an in-house tool for me, especially in the first year, because I want to maintain flexibility to work with staff in case we are off base. Library Board of Trustees Chairwoman Kathleen J. McDermott added that the action plan will be an annual document, and attaching it to a 3-year strategic plan would hurt its fluidity. Board trustee Robert Thompson asked how the institution should measure progress within the strategic plan. Castigliola said that she was hesitant to commit to how she wants the plan to play out, as she is still in the drafting phase, and said she will not have an answer until the plan has been approved and moved forward a little. I am not going to do anything because it is a trend in public libraries, or people think it is cool, Castigliola said. I want any changes here to be a reflection of what is served Sandwich and what patrons ask for. We are constantly going to make some changes, but I will never say, everyone is lending out ukuleles, we should too, until there is an actual need for patrons or our collection. McDermott said that the draft strategic plan reflects patron and trustee input regarding its guiding values and goals, and that its brevity will inform community members searching for key sections of the plan. Castigliola said that she will make edits before the board's December meeting, which is when it will vote for the plan's approval. Before the draft strategic plan discussion, Thompson provided leadership updates for the Friends of the Sandwich Public Library. Thompson said that the organization no longer has a president, and that its vice president, Pat McKean, will maintain the status quo unless someone has a change of heart, as recruiting for the position is unlikely. Despite its leadership vacancy, the Friends of the Sandwich Public Library has managed to collect funds. Thompson said its bookstore raised $18,445 from October 2024 to October 2025, and the organization raised $16,130 in donations. The Friends of the Sandwich Public Library have been an incredibly powerful organization for several years and have a history of proactively fundraising, Castigliola said. Right now, I think it will be fine as members have figured out what to do next. I am not concerned about its ability to fund our regular programs in the coming year. Castigliola also shared some information from her director's report, including a repeat donation that will fund the new Curiosity Classroom series next year. Castigliola said that the series will involve 5 or 6 events with 3 workshops each to teach patrons a new skill set and leave the library with a sense of community. She said staff is brainstorming series ideas, which have included tarot card reading, decluttering strategies, and researching patrons' historic properties. Castigliola also said that the library has planted a small Japanese maple tree as a memorial tree for Gail Ravetz, the former president of the Friends of the Sandwich Public Library, who died earlier this summer. She said Friends of the Sandwich Public Library specifically wanted a Japanese maple tree because it had red leaves, and Ravetz wore red glasses. The Friends of the Sandwich Public Library also funded the purchase of a telescope, which will be the library's first item other than traditional books, DVDs, and video games it will lend out. Castigliola said that the purchase was inspired by a delightful young gentleman who is interested in astronomy and willing to do some instruction and help take care of it. She said the library is lucky to have so many wonderful young patrons who are doing something right. To finish the meeting, board trustee Jeannie M. Vander Ply shared an update on the Weston Memorial Fund, the endowment dedicated to supporting the Sandwich Public Library. Vander Pyle said that donors will be acknowledged this year, which has been a concern in previous years, and hopes the fundraiser continues to grow. Our next article is School Committee Celebrates School Food Pantry Transportation Study Progress by Sarah O'Hearn. The Sandwich School Committee discussed the district's food insecurity efforts and the progress of its transportation efficiency study at its meeting on Wednesday evening. Superintendent Joseph Marusak said that there has been great efforts across the district to address food insecurity, and he wanted to commend the work of Sandwich Middle High School guidance counselor Nicole Alexander and social worker Diana Smith, who have partnered with Cape Cod Meals to establish a food pantry on the lower level of the school. Marusak said that the food pantry, established earlier this month and open from 5 to 6 p.m. every Wednesday, sends families to virtual surveys so orders can either be completed in advance or in person. Cape Cod Meals collaborates with the Greater Boston Food Bank, meaning Sandwich Middle High School receives a steady stream of non-perishable and essential items every week, including coats, socks, and backpacks. Marusak said that its life skills students package orders for the families, and the only items in need are paper products, such as paper towels or toilet paper. He said the district is trying to promote the food pantry in its weekly parent newsletters, and that it is not an exclusive resource. This is not something just for Sandwich Middle High School. This is not even something just for families affiliated with Sandwich Public Schools, Marusak said. This is for any family within our community that it has this need. It is a really great effort, and we want to see you to be successful and reach out to families who may need this. Outside of Sandwich Middle High School, Marusak said the Oak Ridge School 6th grade student council is partnering with Sandwich Middle High School student and Project 351 ambassador Macy Christensen to conduct a food drive to benefit the Sandwich Food Pantry. The food drive, also taking place at Forestdale School, began 2 weeks ago and will continue through Friday, December 5th. Marusak said that the drive is doing swimmingly well as Oak Ridge students have collected 1,417 items for the Sandwich Food Pantry thus far. He said that one student, identified as Luneo Kirshner, has brought in 190 items, representing 2 of everything in need at the Sandwich Food Pantry, with her own babysitting and birthday money. That is the kind of stuff that really does your heart good, Marusak said. Kudos to Lunea. Kudos to the students that are doing the right thing. I love the fact that this is all staying within our community. A lot of props, but a lot of good news and great work going on across the district. Marusak then shared an update on the district transportation efficiency study. He said that the study, which will assess various transportation-related issues, is still on target to have its best recommendations and assessments to the district by the end of December or early January. Marusak said that the analysis of the district's bus routes and tiers is complete, and this week the study will start measuring the actual bus counts for drop-off and pickups over 6 weeks. Maruzak has also shared that the district has contracted with the Massachusetts School Counselor Association to conduct a peer review of the Sandwich Middle High School guidance program. He said the review will entail feedback from students, parents, and staff through on-site and virtual surveys and interviews to assess where the public is in terms of its service delivery compared to the Massachusetts and National School Counseling models. The cost of the peer review is $7,500 and will be covered by the Career Innovation Pathways grant. School committee members also heard a presentation from Director of Pupil Services Jennifer Healy about the district's integrated monitoring review, which focuses on special education and civil rights compliance. Healy said its integrated monitoring review is now preparing for an on-site assessment, which will include reviewing special education records, observing schools' timeout spaces, and interviewing staff on February 24, 2026. Near the end of the meeting, school committee member Susan Miller discussed the district's budget goals for the 2027 fiscal year, which include providing a level services budget, progressing on the district's strategic plan goals to improve student outcomes, addressing the district's deferred maintenance needs, and finding operational efficiencies to balance programmatic improvement with fiscal responsibility. When observing budget outlooks for the 2027 fiscal year, Miller said that the anticipated rise of employee and retiree health insurance, which Maruzak had previously referenced, will impact the district, but its consequences will remain unknown until the increase occurs. Next article is Veterans Organizations Donate to Cape Food Pantries. The riders and leadership team of Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen, the largest motorcycle ride on the Cape and the islands, together with the Nicholas G. Ciarhos Memorial Fund, a donor-advised fund of the Cape Cod Foundation, donated $10,000 to support local food pantries across the Cape and the islands ahead of Thanksgiving. Every July, the motorcyclists ride to honor those who died while in service during all wars and eras of military service, and to support those who made it home, fighting both visible and hidden wounds of war. This year's donation supports 10 local organizations that work to feed individuals and families in need: Lower Cape Outreach Council Incorporated, Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe, Cape Cod Community College, Falmouth Service Center, Sandwich Food Pantry, Friends of Bourne Council on Aging, Island Grown Initiative, the Family Table Collaborative, Family Pantry of Cape Cod, and Yarmouth Food Pantry. The next ride, the 17th annual Big Nick's Ride for the Fallen, will be held on Sunday, July 19th, 2026. Our next article is DA's Office Speaks on Critical Incident Management System by Taylor Frizzetti. The Office of District Attorney Robert Galiboy announced a community initiative aimed to provide a more comprehensive approach to addressing overdoses and mental health crises at an appearance at the Hyannis Fire Department on Thursday. Director of Community Programs Danielle Whitney said that the support network, known as Community Connections, is a coordinated and non-punitive initiative designed to connect individuals who have overdosed or at risk or have had a behavioral health-related encounter with first responders and resources. The program creates a structured communication pathway between hospitals, law enforcement, EMS, and community service providers so that no individual falls through the cracks, she said. The program utilizes a tool called Critical Incident Management System, which is a database system that allows first responders to put in information regarding overdoses, at-risk individuals, and behavioral health instances. This allows better tracking of overdoses and allows individuals to better connect with community resources and treatment services. For instance, if an individual from Plymouth overdosed in Provincetown, Plymouth law enforcement will be notified once the information is put into the CIMS database. Galiboy said that although the CIMS network was in place when he first came into office, rising costs to run the program led him to believe that the program was too expensive to continue. However, the DA's office learned that Cape Cod Healthcare was looking to invest grant funding for various community stakeholders. Galiboy said that a fortuitous event occurred when he saw Cape Cod Healthcare President and CEO Michael K. Loff at a local restaurant. The pair spoke on the best approach to continue supporting the CIMS network. Galiboy said that Whitney took the suggestions from that meeting and created a 10-page proposal that led to various meetings with stakeholders. After about 9 months, the DA's office was notified that it was successful in its efforts, securing a $1 million investment in the program with the support of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, which will help maximize potential over the course of 4 years. This partnership is a great example of what can happen, what should happen, and frankly, the future of our community, Loft said. Our next article is Christmas Tree Shop Signs to be Auctioned for Charity. A piece of Cape Cod history has found a new home with Habitat for Humanity of Cape Cod. 2 original 27-foot-long Christmas tree shop signs, once displayed at the top of the iconic Hyannis store, have been donated to Habitat Cape Cod with plans for a future charity auction to support the building of affordable homes across the Cape. Staff at Shepley Wood Products and Habitat for Humanity of Cape Cod were able to retrieve and store the signs. We're honored to be entrusted with these symbols of Cape Cod history, said Wendy Cullinan, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Cape Cod. They hold nostalgic meaning for so many Cape residents and visitors. We're excited to offer the community an opportunity to own a piece of that history while helping local families achieve their dream of home ownership. Details about the auction will be announced in the coming months. Proceeds will stay in Cape Cod, helping Habitat Cape Cod build affordable homes from Bourne to Provincetown. Next article is Senior College Comes to Sandwich by Taylor Fuzzetti. Have you ever wanted to learn more about the Kennedy family? How about taking up a new skill like origami? Bridgewater State University's Senior College program will offer a variety of courses at the Center for Active Living this spring. Jennifer H. Reed, Director of Professional, Corporate, and Community Education at Bridgewater State, said the Lifelong Learning Program is intended for adults aged 50 and up. We are open to anyone, so you don't have to have any formal education. There are no prerequisites. You don't have to be an alum of Bridgewater State. You simply have to have a desire and a curiosity to learn, she said. Senior college courses are offered around the South Shore, including the Plymouth and Hingham Centers for Active Living and the Bridgewater Public Library. For the first time, courses will be held on the Cape this spring, with 4 classes offered at the Sandwich Center for Active Living. The 4 in-person classes that will be offered for the Sandwich Center for Active Living are Life on an Unpredictable Planet, Coping with the Threat of Natural Disasters, Why Did I Do That?, The Power of Social Influence, The Kennedy Family, and How Did You Do That? Impressive but Easy Origami. Most courses meet once a week for about 6 weeks, with in-person courses being offered on Sandwich beginning on Monday, February 2nd. We, the Council on Aging, are always looking for programming that elevates the lifelong learning opportunities for older adults, Senior and Community Services Director Susan Maranasic said. Bridgewater State Senior College is a wonderful opportunity to bring in-person classes to the Center for Active Living that encourage curiosity as well as engagement and connection with the wider world. Reed said that the courses are not only stimulating, but also offer opportunities for connection, noting that many older adults experience loneliness and isolation. We've been really thinking very deliberately about how we create a sense of belongingness and how we combat loneliness through this program, she said. Reed said one group of women met in a class 5 years ago and still get together every month to have dinner and catch up. It's a great way to meet people with similar interests and to form new friendships, Maranasic said. All of these benefits make Sandwich a stronger community for all. Reed added that keeping intellectually stimulated and learning new things can help keep cognitive health intact. Connectedness and engagement is really, really important to brain health, she said. Memberships can be purchased for $95, which covers 7 courses. However, Reed said, need-based scholarships are available, no questions asked. Additionally, lifetime memberships are available for those who are 90 and older. The registration date for the general public for the spring semester is Wednesday, January 7th. Returning senior college members can register on Monday, January 5th. Additionally, 2 faculty showcase events will be held in December. The first showcase event will be held on Monday, December 15th from 3 to 5 p.m. via Zoom at bit.ly/3 capital M, lowercase ca, 2, capital P, lowercase b. The second faculty showcase will be held on Wednesday, December 17th from 10 to 11 a.m. via Zoom at bit.ly/48, lowercase v, 9, lowercase h, s, n. For more information, visit bridgew.edu/ccs/senior college. Those with questions can call 508-531-1052 or email bsuseniorcollege@bridgew.edu. Our next article is CIA celebrates new studio with ribbon cutting as protesters gather outside, by Katie Nilsson. In the crowded hallway of CAI's newly occupied radio station and studio space on November 14th, donors, politicians, journalists, producers, and executives gathered to see a giant pair of scissors cut through a ceremonial ribbon, officially commemorating a new era for CAI in Falmouth at the Cape Symphony Conservatory. Outside CAI's new home base, which is in the Newton Wing in Cape Symphony's Falmouth campus on Highfield Drive, a group of about 40 protesters stood quietly with signs opposing staff layoffs and what they called a lack of transparency in communication from GBH on the future of CAI and to its listeners. One CAI employee left the building in tears before the ribbon-cutting ceremony took place. The employee was heard thanking the protesters before walking off the premises and skipping the ceremony. In her welcoming remarks, Susan Goldberg, president and CEO of parent company GBH, the Boston-based PBS public media company, said the people outside protesting the station's move out of Woods Hole, as well as those inside celebrating the new space, both demonstrated passion for public radio. And that, all in all, she said, is a positive thing. CAI was founded 25 years ago in Woods Hole by Atlantic Public Media, APM, founded by Jay Allison. Both media companies were located in the Captain Davis House at 3 Water Street in Woods Hole. GBH made the decision last year to sell the building and relocate CAI into a purpose-built modern production and broadcast studio space, citing a budget deficit. Challenges with parking, accessibility, and a lack of community meeting spaces were also identified by a GBH spokesperson as motivation for the move. The Woods Hole Community Association purchased the building and offered 5 years of rent-free occupancy, hoping to entice CAI to stay in the Davis House, but CAI did not take the offer. CAI will continue to air APM shows like The Moth, and APM will still be able to use CAI broadcast studio space, but employees of APM will not be able to access the building without assistance and access from CAI staff. The new home base for CAI is accessible by ramp and has no stairs. Doorways are wide enough for wheelchairs and walking assistance equipment to pass through. Ample parking is available in a lot behind the Highfield Theater. The community will be able to gather for events in the conservatory, which will allow CAI to use one of its performance spaces. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Todd acknowledged the CAI employees who were present and highlighted programs like The Garden Lady, a recently added show. Dan Lothian, GBH Editor-in-Chief and General Manager of Local News, spoke as well and praised the work produced by CAI and GBH staff. Todd, Goldberg, and Lothian posed for photos together holding the blue ribbon before Todd cut it. Goldberg said later in an interview with the Enterprise that CAI and GBH are committed to local programming and reporting. Goldberg acknowledged the loss of approximately $18 million in funding for fiscal year 2026 from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting due to federal funding cuts. In October 1st, GBH announced a $225 million Go Fund Yourself, Invest in the Future of Public Media campaign to compensate for the loss of federal funds and ensure programs can continue. To get the space in shape for recording, producing, and broadcasting radio programs, Lothian said, the construction that needed to be done for the space was extensive. Lothian said he did not have a total cost for the renovation available. Some of the protesters outside also wondered how much the renovation cost and said that they have not heard an answer from GBH. One person held up a sign that read, "New space better than 5 years rent free?" Protester Robert Rosenthal said that he was extremely disappointed by the move and added that he felt GBH, by relocating and laying off CAI's managing editor of news, Steve Junker, this summer, tore at the fabric of a trusted, tight-knit community radio station. Artist Tessa Morgan held a sign she illustrated with a figure marked GBH, holding a memo and a hammer. The memo reads, "Don't listen to locals," and the hammer appears to be smashing a radio with the letters CAI. In the upper right corner is the question, why? Carla Kielstad said that the day did not feel like a celebration to her. She said instead it felt a bit like mourning a loss. A police officer monitored the entrance to the space, but no citations were issued and no incidents were reported. After the festivities of the ribbon cutting were finished, a GBH spokesperson said Goldberg, Todd, and Lothian invited protesters inside for a tour, then sat down to speak for them. On Monday, Allison issued an open letter to GBH, CAI, and listeners, calling for a publicly mediated community forum, broadcast to CAI, to openly address recent tensions, rebuild trust, and shape a shared vision for the station's future. It calls on GBH, listeners, and supporters to come together to communicate transparently, resolve the past year's issues, and reaffirm CAI's local character and community partnership. As of press time, GBH has not responded to requests for comment about the letter. Next article is Library Hosting CCRTA Informational Session. The Sandwich Public Library is hosting a free training session on how to navigate the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority public transportation system. The training will take place on Tuesday, December 9th at 1 p.m. in the library. Krista Lynn Searles, travel trainer and community engagement specialist for the CCRTA, will guide participants through the process of traveling safely and independently across Cape Cod's communities and hospitals using public transportation. The training will include trip training, individual transit orientation, and group transit orientation. The program is designed for individuals interested in using the CCRTA's fixed route system, which is now free to ride. Caregivers and health care community members are encouraged to attend. Space is limited and registration is required by going to the event calendar on the library website. For questions or assistance with registration, call the library at 508-888-0625 or email calib@ocln.org. To learn more about other upcoming library programs and events, visit the library website at sandwichpubliclibrary.com. Our next article is MIDC Seeks New Members, Alternate Tribal Rep by Lauren Serby. The Massachusetts Inclusion and Diversity Committee is on the lookout for new members and a potential Mashpee Wampanoag tribal representative to join its ranks. Chairwoman J. Marie Stevenson addressed the open committee seat during the group's meeting on Tuesday. "We are absent a member, So I contacted the town select board's office because I noticed that they didn't list an opening for a committee member on our webpage, Stevenson said. Stevenson said she spoke with Administrative Assistant Christine Willender, who plans to update board and committee vacancies next month. In the meantime, I put an announcement on 3 Facebook pages, Mashpee Message, Envision Mashpee, and Concerned Citizens of Mashpee, encouraging someone to volunteer to serve on our committee, Stevenson said. Wouldn't you know? We got a reaction. I'm very excited. This woman contacted the office and they gave me her number. She is going to send in a letter and a resume. Stephen said that she spoke with the woman and believes she would be a great addition to the committee because she is a young black mother with a child in the school system. She would be a wonderful addition in terms of our diversity, she said. Stevenson explained the appointment process for new committee members. The person who's interested writes a letter to the select board's office with a resume, Stevenson said. The person then comes to our meeting and we ask them questions and send that all off to the select board. She said that the committee is supposed to have 9 voting members. If you know of anybody who you think would want to serve on the committee, then get the word out, Stevenson said. This is our opportunity to add diversity in any way we can to the committee. Stevenson said that she hopes more people will reach out for the position. I really am going to work with this young woman, and let's hope we can get the process going for the next meeting, she said. If we get others, that would be wonderful too. If we were so fortunate to have others, then let's look at alternate positions. Stevenson also voiced her thoughts about the committee's tribal representative. The current tribal representative is Winnie Johnson Graham, who was elected to serve as the vice chairwoman for the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council earlier this year. Winnie is now involved with the tribe in a major way, Stevenson said. She wants to stay with us, but it's difficult, so I talked to her about possibly having an alternate position, so that another person from the tribe could also be assigned with her. She said that she plans on emailing the committee's select board liaison, David W. Whedon, and the tribal council chairman, Brian M. Whedon, to explain the committee's concerns and see what they can do together to solve them. She hopes the select board can allow an alternate member with voting rights. Any questions, concerns, or interest in joining the committee can be directed to the MIDC by email at mashpeeidc@gmail.com or by phone at Mashpee Town Hall at 508-539-1401. Our next article is Decision Issued for Dangerous Dog Hearing Held After Fatal Altercation at Kennel by Sarah O'Hearn. Barnstable Town Manager Mark S. Ells issued a decision regarding the dangerous dog hearing in early October concerning Wyatt, the 4-year-old dog involved in an altercation that resulted in the death of a second dog at the Cape Cod Dog Center earlier this summer. Although the incident occurred in Mashpee, Wyatt and owners Jeffrey and Laura Horblitt live in Osterville, leaving Wyatt's fate to Ells. At the end of the dangerous dog hearing officer Amy Croteau said that she would review the evidence presented and forward her recommendation to Ells. Ells, who issued a decision on November 3rd, deemed Wyatt a dangerous dog and subjected him to numerous requirements, including wearing a properly fitting muzzle whenever he is off the Horblitz property, being on a suitable leash no longer than 6 feet in length, held by a responsible adult, using a Barnstable Animal Control approved enclosed fenced area when without a muzzle, and being microchipped with Barnstable Animal Control listed as a registered contact. Ells wrote that the order must be provided to any facility where Wyatt may be kennelled or any person who provides care or custody of Wyatt when his owners are out of town. The decision follows Wyatt wherever and with whom he may reside, and the Horblitz are required to report any short or long-term address changes for Wyatt to Barnstable Animal Control. Failure to comply with the recommendations will result in Ells reconvening the dog hearing regarding any new incidents for the purpose of receiving further testimony and to decide further regulatory action, the decision states. The order was delivered in hand to Jeffrey Horblitt on November 5th. Next article is SSA to host forum for new reservation system. The Woods Hole, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket Steamship Authority has scheduled a series of informational open houses for its True North initiative to replace the company's reservation system. At each workshop, the True North Project's teams will be available to discuss upcoming reservation system replacement and review upcoming improvements and new features. Attendees will be able to ask questions and share their feedback on the project. The in-person open houses are scheduled as follows. On Nantucket on Tuesday, December 2nd, from 4 to 5:45 p.m. in the training room at the Public Safety Building at 4 Fairgrounds Road. On Martha's Vineyard on Thursday, December 4th, from 4 to 5:45 p.m. in the training community room at the Tillsbury Emergency Services Facility at 215 Spring Street, and in Falmouth on Monday, December 8th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Steamship Authority Administrative Offices at 228 Palmer Avenue. A virtual option via Zoom is scheduled for Thursday, December 11th at 5 p.m. Visit bit.ly/True North Town Hall to join the meeting. Questions about the open houses should be directed to consultant team Innes, Tom Innes at tinnis@steamshipauthority.com. Next article is Salvation Army's Red Kettle fundraising begins. With the holiday season approaching, the Salvation Army Massachusetts Division is starting its annual Red Kettle campaign across the Commonwealth, and volunteers are needed in nearly every region. The first local Red Kettle campaigns of 2025 start in November. Cape Cod is one of the many areas across the state with upcoming campaign launches that are in need of volunteers and support. As more families across Massachusetts face economic hardship, inflation, and housing costs heading into the holidays, the need for the Salvation Army services continues to grow. The organization serves as critical safety net, providing Christmas gifts and food, offering emergency assistance with bills, and providing shelter to those without a home. All Red Kettle proceeds support the Salvation Army's work with individuals and families right in the communities where its donations are collected. On average, volunteer bell ringers raise enough money to provide nearly 250 meals to children and families in their respective towns. The theme of this year's campaign is Give with Joy. The Salvation Army Massachusetts Division is working to raise more than $2.3 million through this year's Red Kettle campaign to support critical year-round social services. Donations can be made in person at the Red Kettle or virtually. To volunteer at a Red Kettle or donate online, visit salvationarmyma.org/Red Kettle. Obituaries. Carol A. Belton, 69, of Mashpee, died on November 14th. Jeffrey Berardi, 67, of East Falmouth, died on November 12th. Mary Jean Cimino, 88, of Pocasset, died on November 16th. Lois E. Kagashal, 83, of Charlton, died on November 8th. Michael J. Kittillo, 64, of Scottsdale, Arizona, died on November 8th. Linda E. Davis, of Falmouth, died on November 19th. Thomas J. Egan, 68, of Kittery, Maine, died on November 11th. Newman A. Flanagan, 95, of Bourne, died on November 17th. Thomas J. O'Shea, Sr., 89, of Mashpee, died on November 15th. Cynthia C. Sullivan, 73, of East Falmouth, died on October 23. John M. Turrell, 78, of Hopkinton, died on November 15th. Marilyn J. Young, 96, of Falmouth, died on November 3rd. A Christmas Carol will be held at Old Town Hall, staged for one night only. Sandwich Arts Alliance is opening this year's holiday season with a one-night performance of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, performed by award-winning actor, director, and producer Neil McGarry. The performance will be held on Saturday, December 6th at 7 p.m. at the Glasstown Stage at Sandwich's Historic Town Hall, 120 Main Street. McGarry's solo production has earned a widespread acclaim for its emotional clarity, theatrical precision, and storytelling. McGarry transforms himself into every character, from Scrooge and Marley to the Cratchits and Christmas spirits. Tickets are $25 for members and $30 for non-members, available through Sandwich Arts Alliance website at www.sandwichartsalliance.org. That is all that I have time for today. This is Shannon, your reader, hoping that everybody stays warm and safe. Thank you so much.